Authenticity isn't something you manufacture. It's something you experience.
At Holiday Valley, winter unfolds across fun slopes and the true ski town of Ellicottville. Ranked number 4 in the East by Ski Magazine. Winter is better here.
Hey, welcome to a new episode of Skin in the Game. I'm your host, John Semperman, with my co-host,
Tim Elshai.
So, Tim, today, actually, I left you alone for an interview.
You did.
So, really excited. First of all, sorry
excited to leave me alone, are you?
Sorry I was not there to participate in the interview.
So we have Brandon Steiner from New York City, who is the guy, think back years, he's the guy who essentially bought out the old Yankee Stadium and sold all the seats and a lot of other memorabilia. Right. He's done the same now with the Buffalo Bills Highmark Stadium. He didn't buy it, to be clear. I'm being a little playful with the words, but he's the guy in charge of essentially taking the stadium and pulling it apart and selling the pieces as keepsakes, as memorabilia. So Brandon is the founder of Collectibles Exchange, and a real expert in sports memorabilia. And I can tell you, as a guy who's walked around some places with him now, as somebody who can, walk into a stadium, walk into a collectibles store, look at an item and say, oh, we could do this.
Yeah, no, it's he really, and his company really invented, or I guess say legitimized, sports collectibles and sports memorabilia. So, it's an honor to have him join Skin in the Game, and can't wait to listen in on that interview. But speaking of football stadiums and memorabilia, we probably could not do a sports business show without talking about the big game over the last week. And while we're still waiting on some of the TV ratings, I would suppose that, just like every year, Tim, there'll be a new and another bar, another record on viewership. But I think I'd like to just talk a little bit about, some of the business side, and especially what I saw was kind of, the commercials and the commercialization of the game. And one thing that came to mind was, I'm not sure if you noticed, but the AI, artificial intelligence category, was probably the most dominant ad category I saw within the 4-hour broadcast.
I'm ready to go buy a Claude subscription right now because I can keep thinking. Right.
Right.
I mean that, and no surprise here, but it was striking to me just how prevalent the DraftKings and FanDuel, the sports betting companies' advertisements were.
Right.
And maybe I was looking for them a little bit more.
Well, I don't think you have to look for them. I think the betting ads are everywhere.
And the Super Bowl too, for me, is always a way of kind of testing my pop culture IQ, like who's in.
Right.
Maybe not who's out.
Right.
But who's in. We know Haley Steinfeld's in, but I kind of knew that one already. It seems the Backstreet Boys, 2 different Super Bowl ads.
Well, it seems like they come back every year.
Backstreet is back all the time. I can't even finish the joke. I love the Backstreet Boys. Backstreet's back, but yeah, I mean, they had a T-Mobile ad, and there was a crypto ad.
Yeah. And just for our listeners, according to Variety magazine, kind of on the fan meter, the NFL's belief in superpower was the number 1 ranked ad. The Amazon Ring, which featured Find Your Dog. Anytime you can feature puppies and dogs in ads, it's always
that
a
is
positive.
a Super Bowl tradition.
That
or
was,
horses.
That was number 1. And then speaking of horses, Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, integrating both the classic Clydesdale with the American Eagle. That came in the top 5 as well. So there was a big mix of spots, and I think those 3 definitely hit some emotional chords.
I want to throw one at you, and I'm interested to see if it resonated. There was an ad, I thought a very touching ad, with a father and daughter, elderly father, middle-aged daughter, sitting on a porch, and he's handing her the keys, and it makes you think he's handing over his car. He was handing over the keys to the farm.
Right.
And I was saying, okay, so where is this going? He's handing over a farm, and then you learn it's a potato farm.
Right.
And you talk about a tug at the heartstrings ad, generational, emotional ad for Lay's potato chips.
And a little
I didn't
bit-
see it coming.
No, nor did I. A little bit of a kind of that Americana emotional vibe to it. Very well produced. And actually, they, from everything I heard and everything I've read, it was also ranked pretty high. Hey, the last bit of news when it comes to kind of this NFL little bit themed episode is the Seattle Seahawks. Congrats to the fans in the Pacific and our listeners in the Pacific Northwest are the world champions. I'm not sure if you're aware, but that team is also now for sale.
Want to buy it?
So
no, actually, how much more money are they going to get now?
Well, it's
a Super Bowl win.
Actually, probably not any more than they would have got with a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, which is crazy to think
about. Look, right now the reports are about a $10 billion price tag on the team. That is higher than what Josh Harris purchased the Washington Commanders for, which I believe was $6.5 million just 3 years ago. So the value is increasing. And but yeah, to your point, the timing probably couldn't be better to be going.
Yeah,
on the market.
it's not a bad sales tag.
Right, that's right.
But yeah, it's staggering to me how quickly these NFL teams spike upward in evaluation in valuation. We've gotten a decent look at it, not only through the annual Forbes valuations, but as teams have been selling private equity stakes, some of that money, some of those percentages leak out. We're just starting to get a better sense or a more frequent sense of what people are willing to pay for or to buy into an NFL team. And I got to tell you, it's just like it is. Even I'm surprised by how quickly it's rising. So,
we'll
good investment if you can do it.
Well, we'll keep our eye on it. We'll keep our listeners and our viewers in the loop on where that evolves to. But why don't we get to your interview? So
you're a listener on this one.
Yes.
I hope I did a good job.
I think you did.
All right, so we are going to be back next on Skin in the Game with Brandon Steiner.
Skin in the Game. We'll be right back.
Authenticity isn't something you manufacture. It's something you experience.
At Holiday Valley, winter unfolds across fun slopes and the true ski town of Ellicottville. Ranked number 4 in the East by Ski Magazine. Winter is better here.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Skin in the Game, and Brandon Steiner, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a little, I can't decide right now. Where's the snow? Is it cold? It's not that cold. It's kind of gray. And I'm like, I'm in Buffalo. Where are the chicken wings? Where's the beef on a wick? I'm feeling a little more like a Buffalo resident. It's like my 5th trip now here, and it's a matter of months. And I'm feeling like I could be comfortable here. Love the people. I don't even mind this weather and everything. It feels like I'm back at home.
Well, I think people I know people love having you here. We're going to get into a lot of reasons why. You're about to feel like a real Buffalonian tonight to tomorrow, because if the weather predictions hold true, you'll be walking through Highmark Stadium tomorrow in about 6 inches of snow, which is how one walks through Highmark Stadium in January.
I feel like I could be here for a couple extended days as well. I'm prepared for that. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like a little bit of like Syracuse a little bit. I feel like there's a little room to breathe here. And I value that. Like, I feel like there's a little room, there's some good places to eat, some hotels, maybe it's the Sabre game tonight. I just feel like I could breathe again. Like in New York, if you don't plan everything out and everything costs a fortune, and even though maybe I could afford it, it drives me crazy. But I feel like I can get anywhere from point A to B, and there's always a very friendly, welcoming person waiting to greet me in most of the restaurants and the stores. So I'm happy to be here. I'm starting to love Buffalo. I've been rooting for Buffalo for a while. I've been on this Josh Allen guy for a while as far as just a fan.
Yeah, you picked up.
I haven't done anything with him, but I loved him when he got drafted and he was like all pissed off and bent out of shape. Like, you guys completely screwed up. I can't believe you didn't draft me higher. Love the attitude. Love the, whether it was true or not, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to tell yourself those stories to make sure you need to have that kind of motivation. And I think there's a lot of teams got to be questioning themselves why they didn't take him, because he was the obvious pick in that draft, but it wasn't obvious back then, I guess. So
No. I mean, and you hear all about that. The other story people love to tell about Josh Allen is when he was in high school, he sent, I don't know how many it was, but hundreds, maybe up to it might have been bordering on 1,000 letters to really every college that could offer him potentially a quarterback spot, just pitching himself, and one came through, right, and that's the one he needed. So a lot of Josh Allen.
I love the
legends.
I think there's
around
one thing
here.
worth mentioning. Being in this celebrity game, collectible exchange, and having dealt with literally thousands of athletes in my 40-year career, 50 million autographs. I think it says a lot about somebody when they have a high level of fame. I've seen guys go from 0 to 100 quick and all that, but you gotta love the way this guy handles himself. And I know Buffalo doesn't take it for granted. I just wish that people around the country, when you get a stud like this, who's not only a great player but even a better person off the field, like, I just value the hell out of that. Like, I just admire it so much, because most people, not a most, but a lot of people lose their minds with fame and success. It's a drug, and you got to stay away from it. And I just really admire people that realize that success isn't about him, and he's everything about that. He goes about his job, loves the fans, connects with people that need help, knows he can make an impact. Like, that's what life's all about, and a lot of players miss that, which is sad.
In your work with athletes over the years, and we'll dig deep into this, would you ever, did you consider it part of your role to help tutor some of these athletes through some of those choices and how they interact with people, how they connect with fans? Did you ever get into that, or was the athlete the athlete?
Every player I have, I try to, and some listen, most don't. I think Mariano Rivera is probably one of my best work. Now he doesn't listen to me. He's unanimous. He's the big dog, and has earned it. But for a long time, when he first came over from Panama, I really did everything I told him. A lot of good ideas and directions I took him in, I think worked well for him. Obviously, I have nothing to do with that cutter and his great success on the field, and he took it to even another level himself personally, which I give him a lot of credit for. But Oswaldo Cabrera is one of my players that I'm really so excited about, even though he's not the biggest name yet. I mentor him every day, and he listens. I try to help the players. I have a different way of looking at it, and obviously I'm not one of those great athletes who hurt his knee, and all of a sudden that's why I'm not playing. Like, I never had a shot of playing anything other than a schoolyard ball, whatever. So it's not like I'm this frustrated athlete. I was always like, I love business, love entrepreneurship, and that's definitely what I'm going to do when I grow up and get older. Some athletes listen, most don't. It's very difficult. Most people are not great learners, and one of the reasons why a lot of people are miserable is because they just aren't growing. And in order to grow, you have to listen and learn and be curious. And when you start telling an athlete who everybody's kissing their ass all day what to do and what not to do, it's sometimes it's oil and vinegar. It just doesn't go. And I've grown used to it. I've had some good success with a bunch of players, and I've had some players where, it goes in one ear out the other. But it's my business. I'm grateful to be in it, to be able to work with some of the greatest players ever. And whether they listen to me or not is not what's ringing the cash register for me. However, if every now and then when they do listen, we definitely make a lot more money. And I always ask them, I say, do you like money? And would you like to make more? Well, let's not chase the money, chase the things that make the money. It's one of my favorite lines. Like, don't chase the money, chase the things that make the money, which is doing the right thing on purpose, doing the little things, the follow-ups, treat everyone great, be respectful, have a high level of empathy. Not everything's about the dollar. You can do things for somebody that may never do anything back for you, which sometimes, you get so many people coming at you, and use the help, which I tell people all the time. It's okay to get help on all levels. And it's amazing how many people are afraid to ask or get help, whether it be in their business, personal life, whatever it is. To me, like, you only got one life. Like, if my marriage isn't great, I'm going to go get some marriage therapy. If my leg's not great, I'm going to go to the best orthopedist. Like, why wouldn't you? But it's amazing how many people, they'll be limping around. This knee. I'm like, well, why? Let's go get it fixed. Everything's fixable, I think. And that's more. We've gone onto the Living on Purpose book now, but
yeah,
just because I was
let's
on a
talk
rant,
about. I was going to ask you about it.
I did a speech yesterday for this group, and it was a little bit of an older group, and I was just like, dude, like you guys are acting like you got a shot clock here. Like who knows how long y'all are going to be living, but you decide when to leave the arena. And dreaming is okay for everyone, not just young people. And I think the older people that can dream, they're the ones who can do the most damage. They're the highest level of entrepreneurs that really have potential is older people. And most people think entrepreneurism is for young people. But it's really, you think about the experience, have a little more tolerance for risk. You got the money. I mean, 70% of the wealth in this country is with people 60 and older. So, you do the math. Like, I love older entrepreneurs, even though maybe we can't get an app as quick and maybe we can't find things on Google as quick as some of the young ones. But I always tell the young ones, don't forget who invented the internet, who invented the iPhone, who invented a driverless car. It's all older people. The older people, we invented all this stuff. Cell phones, everything. But, young ones think we're just a bunch of idiots, but like we're the ones who invented all this stuff that you think made you so smart. Now, I like the young ones. I'm a lot more excited about this young Generation Z than a lot of my friends and counterparts are, because they can get stuff done quick, and they are able to really navigate quickly. And with a little energy, they could be a really dangerous group that maybe could help us and take care of some of the issues that some of my baby boomer generation is going to be leaving them behind. So I'm loving young ones. I keep a lot of young ones around me. They're really good on social media. They know how to do a lot more stuff with content, videos, and I'm very big. If you go follow me on social, I'm posting every day, multiple times. Not a typical 66-year-old.
No, I see all the time. I saw a great LinkedIn post today.
I don't screw around. I mean, I want to communicate with people that I love and communicate with my fan base and customers. I want them to know what I'm thinking, and I also want to know what they're thinking. I can't believe how many CEOs don't even look at the comments, don't look at the feedback. I love it. How generous is when somebody comes on my social and bitches at me. How generous that you took the time to do it. It's my choice whether I believe it, want to listen to it, but most of it's pretty good. And I always say the truth will set you free. Piss you off first.
So
anyway,
when you say,
I'm sorry, we got off on a tangent.
No. When you say the feedback's good, do you mean good as in helpful or good as in positive?
No, good and helpful. Like, listen, you don't learn anything from winning. Oh, good job. Oh, that's great. But, sometimes when somebody takes the time to complain and say, Brandon, I ordered this, or this took 4 days, that's how you learn. You really get a nice view of what's really going on in your company, especially as your company like mine right now. Collectible Exchange is growing rapidly. And when you're growing rapidly, which is what the name of the game is, you're vulnerable to maybe make a couple mistakes or maybe you're missing something that people are looking for. I am all about it. You would see me often at Yankee Stadium in front of my store, shaking hands, signing books. I can't get out there and meet enough people, and they're not always all, hugs and kisses, but if you really want to have some happiness in the business you're in, you've got to be chasing growth, and you chase growth with curiosity and enthusiasm. That's as simple a form as I can give it to you. But if you're sitting at home listening to this, you're a little unhappy, it's because either you're not helping people or you're not growing, and you're not curious, or you're not looking to learn. You're stuck. And get up, stick your head out the window, and find something else to do. Go to your boss and demand growth.
On that note, right before we turned on the mics and started recording, you told me that your book, Living on Purpose, or you said you hope that Living on Purpose is something that every person in their 40s can read. And that's me. And when I bought it, I kind of had that impression. I'm like, this looks like the right book for me right now. It's stories about faith, fortune, and fitness that will lead you to an extraordinary life. So talk about, why, you're thinking of Gen X and young or older millennials there. What is it about people in their 40s and the message you've got?
I think that, everybody prepares. You spend a lot of time figuring out when you were really, really young, whether you realize or not, how to walk, finally how to talk. Then you figured out, how to get into this school, that school, how to play on that team or this team, the travel team. Then you were trying to figure out how to get into the right high school. God knows the effort you put into getting into college. And then God knows the effort you put into getting your first job. Think about how hard that was. And then getting your career going. You went to trade shows. you did all this kind of learning to be good at your craft. Hopefully you put a lot of training in to be great at your craft. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're 45 and you've been doing that shit for 20, 25 years. But you don't have a plan what to do after you've been really successful. I tell people all the time, it's like people say, Brandon, did you ever think you're going to be this successful? I'm like, yeah. I was dirt poor, didn't have a pot to piss in, welfare, the whole thing as a kid. But I was like, I knew one day I was going to start a company and it was going to be great. I know what it was going to be, but so when people say, "Did you ever think your company was going to be this successful?" I'm like, "No, you think I started this company to be a loser and a failure? I'm going to try everything I can to win." Yeah. But what's interesting is like what people don't realize is that they have no plan after they succeed and get to a high level of success. Like, why would you be doing what you're doing and not try to be great? But what's your plan after you're great? And I've run into a lot of successful people, particularly in my neighborhood, that have no plan after they really achieve incredible amounts of success in all different ways. Like, what are you going to do? What's your next plan? What are you doing from the age of 50, 55, 60? You've been doing this lawyering gig, this investment banking gig. You got all the money in the world. What's your plan after that? And then, by the way, you probably killed yourself, so you're probably a little lacking on the parenting end. Your wife's been tolerating you, but she's not maybe in love with you anymore. And God knows the most important thing is, how's your health? And then you start looking at those funnels. Like when I coach somebody, I'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you in the parenting? How are you with health? How are you with your friends? How are you in business? And I get 9 or 10 in business, 5 or 6 in health, 6 or 7 with the kids. I'm like, my kids told me that I was a 6, maybe a 7. I wanted to go and jump into a river after it snowed, kill myself. Like, right. I'm like, really? I've just killed myself, done all this for my kids, and the kids think I'm a 6. Dad, you're on the phone, you're texting, you're busy. The kids don't lie. And then where are you with your why do you work so hard? Well, I do it for my family. I do it for my wife. I do it for my husband. Then my wife is like, well, you're like a 6 or a 7. I'm like, really? So you do everything you can to be a moderate, mediocre partner. Right. And that's why I wrote the book. And the other thing is there was a review. I always tell people, please read my book and make sure you put a review because I learn. Right. And I read them all. So this one guy said, my second book was You Gotta Have Balls, the most popular book. And it was about how I built Steiner Sports. I'm not at Steiner, I'm at Collectible Exchange, just a little side note. But I'm like, this guy's like, Steiner, what a great book. You Gotta Have Balls. And it is a great book. But he's like, how convenient everything fell into place for you. And it was all true, but I neglected to put some of the bad shit and some of the stuff that when I got off course. Like, you never lose your way. You sometimes just get a little lost, but you always can find yourself, get back on track. And I kind of didn't talk about some of the dumb stuff that I did and some of the mistakes and some of the idiotic things that maybe, the heartache. And I then was a little more focused on maybe doing another book and talking about that. So when you read Living on Purpose, my family was not happy about this book because I was extremely transparent about how I felt and where I was at. And, I love the line, like my friends would call me. I'd say, they'd say, when do you want to get together? I'd say, how's never? Is never good? Like, I don't have time. I mean, for my friends, I'm like, and you all know what I'm talking about when you got kids, you got the business, you got all this stuff going on, and you got some friends calling up. They want to go out for some beers on a Friday night. And you're like, how's never? And it's sad that I'd be in that mindset, but I was kind of driven on the business. And I just thought there's some really good stuff on the recovery of how I recovered from this idiotic behavior to become rich and successful in one area and then poor as all hell in these other funnels. And then I figured out a system. And then we were just talking before we started about I had done 250 pods, maybe more. And that was my way of luring all these experts on to my program to learn. So I go into a bookstore, I'd say, tell me, I want to lose weight. Who's the best author on weight loss? And then I call the guy up and say, you probably don't have a big sports following, but I do. Would you come on my pod, or would you like to come stay at my house? I'll take you to a Yankee game. So I went to guys like John Gray. I went to the sleep doctor, Michael Bruce, Harvey McKay, all these gurus on life, mental mindset, everything else, and retooled. That's how I got, and I was like, something, this is really good. Like, changing my flock, made new friends, which I think is critical. I talked to 45, 50-year-olds like, when was the last time you made a new friend? When was the last time you made a new friend?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. When was the
Maybe
last
that's a
time
good
you
point,
found
yeah.
a new band that you liked? You're still stuck on the shit you listened to in college. And like, but at the end of the day, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Because is there any more joy in doing something for the first time? No.
Right.
But we stopped doing it. Like, why wouldn't you keep finding things to do for the first time? That's the most amazing thing. The first kiss, first day of school, first day of work, first day you met somebody, first day you went to Europe, whatever. So, and then what's your favorite thing? And why wouldn't you do your favorite thing as much as freaking possible? Eat your favorite food, go to your favorite place, do your favorite thing. And you talk to 40-something-year-olds in between the kids and work, yeah, it's been a while since I did that. Like, really? And you can see where the whole thing comes together. And I feel like I really put it together in a really simplistic way to say it doesn't have to go down that way. And you can have it all. You can go and work hard, make a shitload of money, but also be a really good husband, be a great dad, be a good friend. You can put it all together. And that's what the book is, man. And I'm very grateful because some of these ideas that are in the book obviously are from really, really smart people that I went and researched. And again, back to what I was saying, curiosity, growth with enthusiasm brings you some happiness. And helping others, well, that's a joy.
So what are you working on now in your life?
It's a good question. I'm in a tweener state. I started this new company, Collectible Exchange, and I was just trying it. I'm not a tech person, but all of a sudden it's now blowing up. It's gotten really big. I'm taking Highmark Stadium down. I just signed Air Force, Syracuse, St. John's, Michigan. So I have all these Savannah Bananas. I take Live Golf, XFL. And then, we take people's collections and we help vault them and sell. So when people are downsizing or someone should die and they have cards, collectibles, Collectible Exchange will take your stuff in, show you what you have, help you get it authenticated, value it, and help you sell it. And a lot of older people struggle with that, and it's a one-stop shop. It's been going incredibly well. So I'm caught between a rock and a hard place now. Having, I'm not working for money. So a lot of this money, in my mind, I'm for charity and help good causes. So I'm a little motivated on that, but I'm trying to find my way. I don't have a lot of hobbies and I'm struggling. I'm trying to figure out, can I be a golfer? 20 lessons in, I still suck. I know it's a hard sport, but it's definitely not easy peasy. I'm definitely traveling around the world with my wife. It's unbelievable. I'm trying to find the travel agent that lives in my house somewhere secretly. Because the amount of trips that we have gone on or are going on, I know my wife's got to be getting some insight somewhere. But, we're going to Japan in a couple of months. We're going to Bahamas next week. We're going to Poland in June. We're going to some island in March. It's crazy. So, but that's just in 6 months. But I'm loving the travel. But, to be honest with you, I'm struggling. I'm trying to find some hobbies, trying to diversify a little bit of what I do in my personal time. A little less business, trying to delegate out, building my company very similar to how I built Steiner Sports, except the same kind of passion, the same kind of love and connection to the product and the customers, except building a much stronger management team in a more of a partnership way so that my people feel ownership and they can take on more of the responsibility. It's not all on me. It's the way I want it to go down, and I've changed my management style. I'm leading with a lot more love and kindness as opposed to just do this because I said, because it's hard when you have consummate knowledge and you're telling somebody to do something and they're looking at you like do it because I'm the expert. That's why, and nothing. But now it's listen, it's fine. I can understand why you're struggling with this. Let's go over this again. I'm a lot easier going now with my younger staff, especially because I really love the younger kids around me with some aspects, but then some of the stuff that's kind of old school. Oh, you take your pen, you write a little note, and you say thank you to the customer. You can actually do that on a piece of paper.
Right.
No, don't thank them in an email. Thank them in a note. Put that in the box. Put a stamp on it. That's how it works. So, I'm very patient about these processes. I think these little things are really important. And I still teach them in my office with my staff. I'm still a believer of some of the old school. I pick up the phone. Well, why are you calling me? I'm like, well, I had something I want to ask you. Well, we didn't set up an appointment to talk. I'm like, No, I didn't, and I'm not gonna. So, but a lot of younger people think that in order to talk on the phone, there should be an appointment only. If not, text them, which I think's bullshit. But it's kind of a little bit. I'm trying to bend a little. I'm trying to like we really can't talk, huh? Oh boy. But as the way the world has changed, I'm trying to be a little bit. I would say it's not survival of the fittest; it's survival of the flexible.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah,
it is.
Including for your younger staff. It's yeah. I often think about too with younger people who have certain habits built in for understandable reasons. There's always that tug and pull. Should they adapt to any of us who might have grown up without cell phones? I think is probably a good dividing line. If we had analog childhoods or analog young adulthoods, some of those early habits are still there. Yes, you can pick up a phone. Yes, you can write a note. You can send something in the mail. People will open it too because they don't get that much.
There's no
mail,
app
right?
for having a little more heart. There's no app for having more resilience. There's no heart for increasing your empathy and compassion. So we can't get completely numb to all this. But I sit down with my people and a much more logical. We have a teachable moment here. And also have a 5-to-1 rule where before I ever get on your ass about something, I'm going to have told you 5 great things you've done. I'm walking around my office trying to find what's good. Like my favorite word is, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I love what you just did there. Like that's more of my starting point as opposed to walking around finding everything that's wrong, which is kind of a little bit how I used to manage, to be honest with you. So I felt that's my job. If I don't spot all the things that are going wrong, who else is gonna? Now I'm like walking around trying to find what's right and emphasizing it and really overplaying it. And then at some point after I've given you enough positive feedback and told you all the great things you've done, once in a while, if need be, I can, by the way, teachable moment, take out that piece of paper, the pen, maybe write a quick little note, thank the person because the job you did was so extraordinary in getting what you got them, but thank them for buying it. So as opposed to like, and it's a hit or miss proposition. The kids will look at him like, why would I do that? You're crazy. But so we're trying to find a happy medium. But walk around your office and try to find what's right. Same thing with my wife. Like every day, I'm like, honey, am I doing anything right? We're 38 years in. Is anything I'm doing well here? Because you kind of get that way with your partner too. Like, what is he not doing now? Look at the bottle of thing he left on the table. Or why did you take? Like, hey. There's a lot of things I did right today to keep this life going. And one of my rules of thumb, just real quickly, is every morning when I wake up, I try to think of everybody that made yesterday possible. And I want to send some level of gratitude to them in some way, whether it's a thank you card, a note, a text, whatever it is. Like yesterday didn't happen all by itself. If you really want to get into true gratitude, I mean, this table, you know how many people were responsible for this table being here so we could sit here and talk? Don't even get me started. So, you can't get your level of gratitude high enough. And I've brought that now into the workplace. I brought that more with my customers, trying to find what's right and finding the yes.
You're making me think of a great book by A.J. Jacobs, and it's about coffee. And I think it might be called A Cup of Gratitude. I wish I remember the name, but he gets a cup of coffee every morning in New York City and wrote a book about tracking down and thanking every single person, or at least somebody from every single group that was responsible for what was in his hand. Incredible book. I want to ask you, so speaking of gratitude in teams and the work you're doing, taking Highmark Stadium, tell me about the team of people, and I know you're leading it, but the team of people you have working with you to walk in that stadium and essentially take it apart, memorialize it, and sell it to fans who love that stadium or the Buffalo Bills so much.
I think it starts with I got to get into becoming the ultimate, as best as I can. If you really want to be authentic about it, I got to start by being the ultimate Buffalo Bills fan. I got to make believe I am Bills Mafia. Now I know that you can't fake your way into that, and there's a lot of years to really earn that kind of credibility. But that's where my head's at. Like, I've watched every Bills game this year, rooting. I generally don't sit there and watch a full football game. I've been to Buffalo 5-6 times. I've talked to more Buffalo Bill fans. Like, I need to put myself in their shoes to really understand. And really, if you really want to get to the best product mix, how you want to deliver it, then you got to put yourself in a Buffalo Bills fan's shoes, somebody who lives up here, who's living and dying with this team, as many people do, and then hope maybe you can get there. Like, I'm not saying I'm even there yet, but that's where my mindset is. I mean, I get into it. Like, when I'm representing a player, I'm doing the market for him, I'm making believe I'm pitching tomorrow night, even though there's no shot that's happening. But you really have to get into a high level of empathy, and a high level, empathy is just common sense, like getting yourself in the other person's shoes. Right. So before we get into that, like, that's kind of my mindset is I'm trying to become an expert on being a Buffalo Bills fan. If you really want to be authentic, when you see the products we're creating, I mean, I'm waking up in the morning like maybe I just went to a Buffalo Bills game at Highmark, and now I'm sitting with a whole bunch of ideas. Like, you got to kind of like relive the whole thing. Like, I'm in the stands, like, wow, I'd love to have that. I'd love to have this. We should make that. I'm watching more Buffalo Bill videos from fans. I'm on probably at least 20, 25 influencers. I'm watching everything that's going on. I'm watching the news, just trying to get, and then you start, then you can start producing really cool shit, because there's a big responsibility. I'm not doing this for the money, like, I know I do this I have a company that has a responsibility to make money, but my first and foremost purpose and goal here is, like, I need to make a lot of people upstate New York here feel good about leaving that stadium and knowing they have a piece. And to do that authentically, like, you gotta go, what I call, you gotta get in the mud. You gotta get all freaking in. And all in, people, they use that term kind of loosely, I think, but when you get all in, it's mentally, physically, you got to put the time in, and you got to talk to people. And even though you think you're an expert, I've done a lot of this. I took Yankee Stadium down and the Cowboys Stadium. That doesn't matter up here. I'll use it as a reference point, but that's not the core. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Like, oh, we did this at the Cowboys Stadium. Like, nobody cares. Like, what are we doing here? And what am I doing uniquely up here that fans are going to go, wow. I want to be able to walk up here, run into fans, and go, Brandon, thank you. Wow, love what you did. Have a bunch of your stuff, man. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to remember that place. It's so important to me. And my biggest fear is that I don't get it done on a high enough level, because the expectation up here is high. That stadium is really important. Maybe the most important stadium I've done as far as the relationship with the fan. Like, and that includes Yankee Stadium and the Meadowlands and Madison Square Garden. I go on, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know if any of those stadiums match up to this level.
It's interesting to hear you say that too, because I know you started in this part of your work was the first stadium that
Syracuse.
You took apart. Oh, was it Syracuse, not Yankee?
Well, first of all, I went to Syracuse, and it's funny.
Right.
I was there for the last game at Archibald and for the first game of the Dome when I went to school there. So, I saw that whole transition. But yeah, listen, my business really started more with the Giants. I was friendly with Lawrence Taylor and a bunch of guys on the 86 team. I don't want to bring up the 90 Super Bowl 25 team. I don't piss anybody off. But Otis Anderson was one of my first guys I represented, fortunately, from that Super Bowl MVP. So that was a big break for me in my career. But, I mean, the Yankees was my coming out party. Obviously, you're in New York, and to have a Derek Jeter and a Mariano and almost the whole team, Joe Torre, you name them. And for them to get on 6 out of 8 World Series, who could write that? You can't even make that up.
Right.
And then to have 2/3 of the team under contract, and then a partnership with the Yankees, that's pretty damn lucky, pretty epic. I don't take that for granted, that part of my career. So, quite a bit of learning, and it's a big organization over there in the Bronx.
Yeah. Bit of one, yeah. I guess what I'm curious about is, when you think back to taking apart Yankee Stadium and selling that, and you're doing it now with Highmark Stadium and the Buffalo Bills, how might be apples and oranges comparison, but how does it match up, like that fan passion the people in Buffalo are connected to would have for the Bills? How do you think of that in contrast to the passion that Yankees fans have for the team and for that original stadium?
Similar. A little more passion. The level of importance this stadium has to fans in this area, a little higher importance. But, when you have a stadium like the Yankees, the moments somehow mounted when you think about the great things that happen in that stadium and some of the greatness, the championships, the players, that was kind of a trump. when you think about it. And
Right.
it happened at a time when, you had some really big names in the stadium, like a Mariano and a Jeter. So, that matters. Like, if the Bills had won 2 or 3 Super Bowls, we have even a higher level conversation. But I think people look at this place, Highmark Stadium, as their second home. Where those experiences and those memories just go wide and far deeper than just what's going on the field. It's the whole section. It's the parking lot. With the Yankees, it's more about those memories. Were you at the no-hitter? Were you at the perfect game? Were you at the championship? That kind of thing. Although there were some magical moments in Highmark, without a doubt, I think both of those stadiums are right up there on the top of the list. Like, nobody cried about Madison Square Garden going down. If you ever been to the old Cowboy Stadium, that was a piece of shit. Like, nobody gave a hoot about that.
Right. And
they couldn't wait to get out of there. The Islanders, I took that building down. I mean, they couldn't have blown that up fast enough. The Nassau Coliseum, that was terrible. Giant Stadium was not much better. And it was also a very weird takedown. Even though I was proud to do it, the Jets and Giants shared it, and it was just weird. That was like, out of all the takedowns, that was the one I probably have failed the most. Didn't get my arms around it. It was the whole fan base was split up. The whole stadium didn't match the whole Jet thing. It was all,
right.
It's just, I don't think I really did a good job with the Giant Stadium. It was just get that thing out of the way, sell some stuff, and we really couldn't get into, and that's unusual for me, but I just couldn't get my arms wrapped around it.
What does success with the Bills stadium look like? How do you measure the success?
Well, listen, the first thing we start off, the county has been extremely generous in giving me this opportunity. I'm very grateful, and it's very clear.
The stadium's owned by the county.
Yes, and it's very clear, from the county, their directives is, please, we trust you, but please make as much money as you can so we have a bunch of projects on the table that we want to be able to do. And the county execs, and they were very intense and impactful about this. So this is not just whatever happens. Like, Brandon, we trust you. We know what you're doing, and we're hoping you're going to come to the county with a big check. And I have every intention of doing so. But winning is, again, how do I break this thing down in a way so that every fan can find a price point, can fill some of their house and their man and women caves with something. It's coming up with something that no other stadium has done. We had come up with one idea the other day we're working on that could be different. We've never done that for any other stadium, for people to have a remembrance. I haven't come up with that specific idea. I have a couple really, really good ideas that would be very unique, and I think the fans are going to like them. Remember, we haven't announced everything yet, and we will keep announcing from this point on every few weeks or every month. There'll be new products added on to this Highmark Stadium collection all the way through the fall, right? But, the winning is coming up with a couple cool ideas. Like at the Yankee Stadium, it sounds great, but crazy. But we lifted the grass up. It was grass.
Right.
And we lifted the field up and we freeze dried it, thousands of pieces. So people have a piece of the field from the last game. That was kind of like one of my things. And that's really where the dirt came in. As a sidebar, go to YouTube, Brandon Steiner, Syracuse TED Talk, if you want to get the whole story on the bricks and the dirt. So that was the big thing that the Yankee takedown was, the bricks, the dirt, the grass. Okay. Now, every time I go to Highmark, and I have a pretty good photographic memory, I'm looking all over the stadium trying to find, some unique stuff, some different stuff. I have a few really cool things that I'm working on that after tomorrow I'm going to do another walkthrough, and I'll be back in a couple weeks to do another one. And these ideas keep popping up. And I think fans are going to like. I think we did okay with the initial launch. Not great, but pretty good. We had to get things rolling. And remember, we don't have access to the stuff. Now I can go pull something if I want to go make it. Couldn't get anything up until this point. So now I can start pulling some stuff and making some stuff. I think fans are going to be happy with some of the new stuff that I'm coming out with. It's going to be pretty exclusive and inclusive. I'm not going to go too far in a way where it's going to be all over the place. You'll know where to get it. I'm definitely finding a couple really cool partners here locally in Buffalo to help me with distribution and with ideas. And I'm hoping that will be enough.
Anybody who's been to that stadium has seen the Wall of Fame, where you've got, Jim Kelly, Marv
Yes.
Levy, Bruce Smith, O.J. Simpson, all, affixed to the wall. Are you able to pull those letters off and do something with those?
I am, but But the Bills, they sent out a note to all those players asking to get first right if they wanted them. I wasn't ecstatic about it because I wanted to sell it, but when you look at it logically, I guess I understand that. I mean, if I was Jim Kelly, it'd be nice to have that. In my own sports bar, maybe we're not selling that, but pretty much everything else is pretty much I think in our grasp as far as being able to convert that into gifts.
Yeah, so this
collectibles,
is players or coaches or the families of.
Yes,
because I'm sitting here thinking about OJ who.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what's going to happen with the ones that the families don't respond.
Right.
I know that allegedly they gave a window of time for the fans, the family, and the players that are in the Hall of Fame, and then the ones that don't get responded to, we'll get those and maybe auction them off.
So also before we started talking on the on air today, you and I were joking a little bit about the urinal trough.
Yes.
And for people who aren't familiar, the men's rooms, at least some of them at Highmark Stadium, were well known. Maybe not well. I didn't think well loved, but I might be wrong. Well known for rather than having urinals, having a trough that the men would use. It sounds like there's a lot of interest in people. I didn't even realize the thing was still there.
Oh yeah,
because I've been in a press box, admittedly, for a long time.
Them.
Yeah.
Well, the Big Cat, his podcast, Part of My Take. Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
Part of my.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are on fire and loving them. I'm grateful that they're talking about this and mentioning me on the air, so I'm very grateful. But we have a trough reserved for the Big Cat. But I got to tell you, this guy is an influencer. He's a disruptor because he's been talking about this. I hope we have enough troughs to fulfill the demand because everyone is calling for these damn troughs and urinals. And tomorrow, I didn't spend a lot of time in the bathrooms in my walkthroughs, to be honest with you. I did go in a few because I'm that crazy and weird. So I made it a point to go in the bathroom to see what was in there. And so I had it on my mind that maybe we would do something with some of the urinals and troughs. It wasn't completely out of left field, but it wasn't like a highlight. And now it'll be a focal point tomorrow to go see how many of those are there and what's involved with removing them and are they sellable? How's that going to feel and look? But the demand, the calls, my phone's blowing up. It's crazy.
Not as glamorous, I wouldn't think, as a piece of turf or you're doing these with cool pencil cup holders with the goalposts. But hey, people love Buffalo. And that stadium is.
I love the light fixtures on the top of the stadium. You know how big those things are? Like I want one of those for my living room. Like little things like that, the flagpole and the flags, and you have all the different teams up top. Looking forward to selling those. I'm excited about a lot of those little things. It doesn't light the lamp as far as crazy amounts of money you make, but somebody's going to have that. It's going to be cool. The big buffalo in the middle of the field, like somebody's going to get that.
Oh, somebody will love that.
It's freaking cool.
Do you find out, I'll wrap up shortly for you, but do you know yet where the players' lockers are going?
It's a discussion. It's a hot topic. There's a couple of visitors' lockers that we want, and I think we're going to get a few. And then the rest of them, I think, are going to the new stadium and auxiliary locker room. And then we're discussing the current locker room now as we speak, and we're going back and forth. I don't have a defined answer, but I'm hoping that a lot of the stools and some of the locker room stuff we'll get, and some of the lockers we'll get. They're very, very. This is the thing people don't understand. The lockers, they're very, very heavy. They're very, very big, and also they're connected. So if I had my locker next to yours, there's only one wall between it. So if I got my locker and you got yours, we'd be short a wall. There's only one wall for the two lockers, right? So you got to refurbish those lockers, and it's hard to match it all up. It's hard to get that all right. It's one of my missions tomorrow also is to figure that out. That will be in the auction we're doing in the end of April, along with a bunch of one-of-one stuff. And a couple of troughs will be in that auction, I guess, because we won't have enough troughs. We'll auction a couple off. There's a bunch of one-of-one stuff throughout the stadium, including the Bills logo in the middle and things like that. And that will be an auction we'll do at the end of April.
Before I let you go, I'm gonna sneak in one decidedly non-sports question.
Sure, ask me
but
anything.
before anyone who knows your story knows you were in the food service industry before moving into sports. Legend has it you invented the everything bagel, and if that legend is true, then I know a lot of people who are very grateful for you. Is it true?
It is true. this is like we're completely reversing our path here. But when I've been working since I'm 10 years old, and basically I had a paper route when I was 12. You hear those stories, but I was one of those relentless kids. I wanted my paper route. I wanted to win this box of candy bars. So as I'm building up the route, you had to go get new people to sign up, and whoever did the most of each month, you win a box of candy bars. So finally, I got this woman to sign up with me because I would build her. I'd bring her milk and bagels. So as I'm delivering more milk and bagels, and you got to remember, in 1972, there were not a lot of bagel stores. Like, you're not getting bagels like every other corner. Like, this is a bagel factory, and there were very few of these around. And we would bake bagels in the morning, starting at 4 in the morning, and we deliver them to all the supermarkets. So every morning I come in, get the bagels, milk, and he says, you're a hardworking young man. Would you like to work for me? I'm like, well, I'm delivering the papers. Like, he goes, we start baking at 4 in the morning. You bake till 7:30, 3.5 hours, 4 days a week, and then you can go deliver your papers. I said, that's great. I can use the extra money. Show you the kind of mindset I had. And sure enough, I did that for about 3 months. I'm falling asleep in school. I'm 12 years old, 13 years old. I mean, waking up at 4 in the morning, think about it. Anybody out there, if you have a 10, 12, 13-year-old, getting them up to get dressed and go to school is monumental. I'm getting up on my own at 4 in the morning to work and then go deliver a paper route and then going to school with no parental supervision. Anyway, I go to quit, and the guy says, look, I have the night job open. Now, in the morning, we're baking thousands of bagels in this factory, and I'm making them, baking them, and show me, all that stuff. And now I'm baking at night. I take the job at night. It's a little easier, and I got a pay raise. And I just got bored. So I'm screwing around with all these different seasonings, poppy and salt, and I'm squishing it down and putting onions on there. And there's a lot of bagels that got invented after me, like cinnamon raisin, and you see all these different variations. But at the time, I was screwing around with all these, bagel braids and squishing the bagels down and making a special. My mom loved onion, by the way, so I fooled around with all these onion variations. And then one day, I had all these seeds on the pan underneath what I was doing. And I said, we should just do everything. I just threw everything on the damn thing. And it took off. And that's how we got the Everything Bagel back in 1972 or 73-ish, in that range when I was working at night there. There's a couple people that claim about making the Everything Bagel, but it wasn't until like the 80s or 90s. I'm like, are you crazy?
You were ahead of that.
Oh, yeah, so far ahead of it. And also, like the bagel place, I lived over a Glock Kosher Butcher store on Kings Highway, a very busy highway of retail stores and everything. And literally right downstairs was a kosher deli, kosher butcher, and the bagel store. And then across the street was a Carvel, literally within no more than 20 yards away from my apartment was all that. So I literally went down around the corner. I'd get a bagel, 5 cents was what a bagel cost back then. And I never ate anything, any kind of sandwich other than on a bagel. I mean, I didn't even know that you could have a sandwich on a bunch of Wonder White bread or anything like that. Everything was on a bagel.
I would love that. That's
the bagel store was right downstairs. It was one of the few bagel factories that that we knew of. So that's how the bagel story comes around. That's in the purpose book, right? The everything at the end, I think.
Well, I have to tell you, I just got usually before the person in your chair walks in here, I've read the book. I just found and bought the purpose book. So this is, admittedly, I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to.
Yeah, I hope if you're out there, you go on. I just launched my 4th book, which is the Ride-Alongs, which is a year I spent with the NYPD. And I did a ride-along up in Syracuse because everything I found out to be in New York is going on in every city, probably including Buffalo and all over the country. We have a very serious problem with a lot of hopelessness, a lot of domestic violence, a lot of bad interaction between neighborhoods and police, and we need to be safe. So I do a lot of work with the NYPD. I've redone about 5 police stations. When a police officer dies, they give me a call, and I go in, I fix it up, the muster room, the conference room, the locker room, and take the whole team, the whole precinct to a Yankee game, that kind of thing, and in honor of the police officers that fall in the line of duty. So when I had an opportunity, I was doing a speech for the top 900 police management officers. I asked the commissioner if I could do this ride-along, and I wanted carte blanche to go anywhere. And if you read this book, if you're interested in your safety, because the crime's coming up towards you, it's just a matter of time. We're not as safe as we should be and could be. When you go around to other countries around the world, it's incredible how much more safer they are on a day-to-day basis. And it's a shame that we could be safer, and we should be doing more for some of the people that are in these neighborhoods. I think the confusion is people think that the people in those neighborhoods that are really poverty-stricken, they want more help, but what they really want is investment.
Right.
And they want us to stop dumping their homeless shelters and allowing gangs and certain crime to exist. They don't want it. They don't want that. And it's a small amount of people that ruin it for a lot of people in some of those neighborhoods. So there's an investment needed. I hope you take the journey with me. I mean, the Purpose book is a great journey. The ride-alongs. I mean, and what's funny is I'm half illiterate, so I've had, I just love the fact of all the things I've been able to do in my life where people tell me how stupid I am or whatever, and I just keep doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing, what I want to be doing. And the ride-alongs it's like you're flying somewhere, you read that book, and you'll get off the plane, you'll be finished with it. It's a very quick read, and you'll understand how freaking dangerous, how crazy I was to do this book. This is one of the stupider things I did. My wife was not happy. I learned a lot. I'm glad it's behind me. And if I had a chance to do it over again, I would.
You would not?
I would.
You would not?
No.
Interesting.
No, this was way, way more dangerous. Sometimes you just jump into it, and I'm way out of character and way out of my position here writing a book like this, first of all. But I was really curious, and I thought maybe I could make a difference with it. I try to raise a lot of money when I'm speaking and doing things to help police departments or boys and girls clubs, whatever it is. But this book was, I probably could have done without doing that. I got sick a couple of times because I didn't realize how nervous I am. I ain't meant it. I mean, when was the last time you went to work and were scared for your life?
Right.
There's never a moment in the back of that car where we're going in and out of buildings, and when you see some of the things we did, I mean, I was scared for my life. I'm not that strong. I'm not. I couldn't go into the Army or the Navy. I couldn't be a police officer.
Yeah,
no
so
way.
much about what those officers go through every day.
It's unbelievable. But there's a lot that the people in these neighborhoods are going through as well. And the pancake is flat. It's a flat situation, the safety that's going on in this country, but it has two sides. And the people that are in these neighborhoods that are acting a little out of whack, sometimes we see on TV, there's a reason for it. And I hope you give this book a read. The Living on Purpose is a great Father's Day gift for your dad. It's really a great gift for women to give to their husbands if you really want to be a better husband, to be honest with you. Women are the superior species, and they generally do more of the right thing than men. I'll say that.
I'm with you on that.
I mean, there's no way we're ever doing what a woman does in a day, what we do. No, we just don't get it. But we're open to it, and we're trying really hard. But I think this is a great book. I've given to a lot of my friends that say, hey, something, you don't have to be an okay husband. You can turn it up. And this book gives you the blueprint to do it. It doesn't, again, tell you what to do, but it shows you how you could definitely increase your level of impact in your marriage or with your kids, that kind of thing, without it being too dramatic.
Well, I'm excited to read both.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being here to talk.
Thank you.
Talk about all of this, the books, the stadium, collectibles exchange. Enjoy the snow of Buffalo.
Yeah, I see
the
the snow coming, but I'm a Syracuse guy. I've gone into class and had 5-6 inches drop in the hour-and-a-half class I was there. I'm familiar with it. I just want to say thank you to all the people in Buffalo, and particularly thank you to the county, and thank you to the Bills, for giving me this opportunity. I don't take it lightly. Matter of fact, the opposite. And I hope I don't let you down. I hope you can enjoy these things I'm putting together. I know that there's a lot of money grabbing going on out there, but that's not what's going on here. There's a lot of work and a lot of thought, a lot of meetings and a lot of back and forth between the Bills and us and trying to figure out the best way to go. And also Legends Global, who, you do the web and the store there. So having that distribution support has been a really nice marriage. So to everybody out there, I love hearing the feedback. I'll say it again, definitely go and follow me on Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn. And hey, if there's something you think I should be doing better or different, or you have an idea, I love hearing it. I listen, I respond to it all. So, and thanks for having me on. This is our second
we've chatted before, but it's good to have you in the studio. So Brandon Steiner, thanks so much, and we'll be right back.
Skin in the Game, we'll be right back.
Authenticity isn't something you manufacture. It's something you experience.
At Holiday Valley, winter unfolds across fun slopes and the true ski town of Ellicottville. Ranked number 4 in the East by Ski Magazine. Winter is better here.
Hey, welcome back to Skin in the Game. And Tim, thanks for taking the reins on the interview. It was great.
I passed. I can do it again
You can-
sometime, even if
absolutely.
you're on a plane.
No, that was great.
No, that was a lot of fun. I got to tell you, John, because I know you're a big collector, though. I really would have loved to have you in on that conversation because I know you've got quite a bit of memorabilia from over the years.
Well, in the memorabilia I have, I'm not a big collector. I don't seek out collectible items. I don't, but I do have memorabilia with teams or events that I've been a part of. And, each of those is, there's a story behind them, right? But I want to, commend Brandon and his company for what they've done because they've actually, and he's such an entrepreneur, they've actually created a whole new category. I mean, this really, really did not exist 20 years ago.
Not at all.
And he's created a whole category. And I think what's great, and I hope this is the case, and it sounds like it's going to be for the fans in Western New York, is there's something accessible for all fans at all price levels, So, keeping it open, keeping it an option, and just making sure the fans that have spent so much, both real money and emotional equity in that building, have a chance for a keepsake, and the more the merrier.
Well, and it's interesting to see how creative Brandon and his team get with this, and we talked about it in the interview, but turning the field goal posts into pencil cups, which sold out quick. I was going to buy one of those, by the way. Can't. They sold out. But different things you can do with the seats. Of course, the urinal troughs, which
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that would get approved at my household, but maybe yours.
Oh, I'm not even going to ask. Won't fit in the door. Can't do it. No. But I think walking around a stadium like that with him and just seeing his eye, for taking, for taking even just a sign, a sign on the wall and framing it with something else. That's the way his mind works. It's not just how many seats are there, how can we tear them out, box them up, sell them, ship them. There is some of that, and hologramming it for the, to verify the authenticity. There's all of those things,
right.
But it's also like, what can we piece together that can be a memory on somebody's wall?
Right.
Right.
So, what memorabilia do you have? What is your fan cave look like?
So crazy. It's an office at home.
Okay.
And I don't have a lot. It's like you. As a journalist, I've been a part of a lot of events. So you can imagine the number one thing I have is a massive box of press passes. Which, it's a grandson that one day those will be his.
Right.
So I've got a lot of those. I've got, a really cool one is when I was a kid. I was at one of the final baseball games of the year. I think the season closing game for the Buffalo Bisons, and the player, I'll be interested to see if you remember him, former Major League player named Orestes Destrada.
I know that doesn't. You stumped me. That does not ring a bell.
Yeah, so he played a couple years in the majors, had a good solid career at the AAA level. He handed me his bat, and I was probably 12 years old, something like that. That bat to this day is in my home gym, and he's a big guy. It's a huge bat. To this day, I will swing it just as a workout. I don't know if that counts as memorabilia because it's certainly not on display.
Yeah.
And a couple other items like that.
Yeah.
Now, how about, and I have some jerseys from over the years too.
Yeah.
Which my wife wears quite a bit. When she's a school teacher, and if it's Show Your Colors Day, a Sabre jersey comes out, Team USA jersey. But I don't have much occasion to actually throw on a jersey. So how about when you and I are doing Skin in the Game by Zoom, I see an LA Kings jersey right behind you.
Yeah.
So I know you've got that.
Yeah. So I was fortunate to be part of the team that designed and launched the whole new brand. So, one of those original first run jerseys I have. You'll appreciate this, and those listeners from Northeast Ohio. There was a building, the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium, which I don't know, there were 80,000 seats in that building. I do have number 19 from the old stadium, signed by number 19, Bernie Kosar.
Nice.
So that was nice. Then, spent a lot of cold afternoons in that stadium. And then to your point, yeah, tickets from events. But here's the thing, and we have this conversation in the past with on Skin in the Game. Now that everything's digital and you have, your ticket on your phone, it's not the same as that hard stock, whether it's a World Series ticket from Cleveland from 2016 or it's an All-Star Game ticket, the hard stock. So, we've got to find a way that fans can still save that ticket stock, right? Or from even a concert, like you saw U2 or Pearl Jam one year, right? You need that ticket. So that's some of the memorabilia that I have at my place.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, going forward, what kind of tangible memorabilia teams put out there, and inevitably may sell. Right. Which is fine. It is part of the game. But I'm very curious, very, very curious to see as Highmark Stadium and future stadiums too that Brandon Steiner and his team are able to to work with. How many different ways can you take apart a stadium, package it up, and sell it as a memory? And what do you do to make it affordable at all price levels? At a glance, they are. I have to say that they really. And it's early. There's a lot more coming, but the seats are, it depends what you're buying, but a few $100 to several $100. A seat back is a lot less. I'm not saying that's inexpensive. It is not. But on the other hand, if you want something that's you can put on display, you can utilize.
Right.
It's not the craziest purchase either.
Well, here's the crazy, and again, half of that revenue goes back to Erie County, who is the owner of the building. Wouldn't it be great, though, if those dollars then were put into local parks and local youth sports, right?
I thought you were going to say defray the cost of the $250 million Erie County's paying for the new stadium.
Well, that too. But
I mean that would be, to your point, because that's a really good point.
From the business part of it, right?
Yeah, take that money, put it back into the community.
Mm-hmm.
There is a track record of that happening with the Buffalo Bills.
Sure.
And in many ways, including when the team was sold to the Pagulas, the current owners. Ralph Wilson's family took that money, put it back into the community.
Right.
Something similar on a much smaller scale could happen here with the memorabilia.
Right. No, but I think it's a positive that they're finding a way to monetize, the old stadium and reinvest those dollars back into the community. And by the way, Brandon and his company over the next, I think 3 years are going to be pretty busy. There's a new building going up in Tennessee. There is a new building going up in Cleveland. There's a new building that's in development in Washington, D.C., so there'll be plenty more seats and goalposts and turf to go around.
And I'm wondering if this would work in every city. I know it would in Cleveland, and you know better than I would.
Yeah.
In Nashville, in Washington, are there enough fans who would want to pay enough money to buy enough memorabilia from those former stadiums to bring it home? I suspect the answer is yes.
Yeah, well, the other one you mentioned that I didn't mention was Kansas City, Arrowhead.
Oh, I already know the answer to that.
I think Arrowhead, the connection that the fans have there in Kansas City is just as strong as the fans in Western New York. Tennessee doesn't have quite the legacy and the tradition as a Buffalo.
And a lot of transplants living living in Nashville.
But Kansas City, for sure.
Yeah.
So with that, hey, thanks for listening to Skin in the Game, and Tim, thanks for bringing Brandon Steiner to the show. And with that, until next time, thanks for listening.